So there was this one day I was coming from an audition that I absolutely like ruined. It was one of these auditions that if I had gotten it, it would have changed my life. I'm not going to say what it was, but it would have entirely changed my life. You would have been probably seeing me on TMZ and all that kind of stuff, but wow. I absolutely ruined it. I was horrible. So I was so depressed that I wanted to walk home. The audition was down, this is in New York, so the audition was down like in the 20s, and I just decided I was going to walk home, and at that point I was living in Harlem, so I was about to walk 100 blocks because I was so depressed and upset. So I get to Lincoln Center area, which is like 40 blocks later, and as I'm walking, this woman steps into my path, this blonde woman, and she has this accent. I'm going to say it's Greek, but I can't do a Greek accent, so I'm going to say she sounded like this. It's like, you have aura all around you. You have purple aura. And I was like, yeah. She's like, there's death and negativity. And I was like, yes, I know this. So I'm about to like ignore her and just, you know, keep walking. And then she steps in front of me again. She's like, Richard is not the man for you. Now, all the names to pull out the hat, why did she pull out the name of the man that I was seeing at that time? Oh, wow. Okay, now, I'm not going to dogleg into another story, but Richard was a man who lied to me about his marital status. Oh. And just to give you the highlights of that story that you may hear about later on, he told me that he was divorced and his family was all upset about it, and he was working through it and all of that. And on Valentine's Day, his wife calls me to find out why I was seeing her husband. Wow. So, and the way he really convinced me that he was divorced is that he showed me a poem that his daughter had written about her family breaking up and how she had a problem like finding her identity. When I told his wife about this, she's like, that doesn't even make sense. Richard's the writer. He wrote the poem to show to me. And that's another story. Anyway, so this woman says, Richard is not the man for you. Now, here's another reason why it was so easy for him to like bamboozle me. Yeah, he was a black Christopher Reeve. He was 6'4", just gorgeous. He's just gorgeous, but slime and, you know, morally bankrupt. But anyway, so she has my attention because she says, Richard is not the man for you. She's like, Danny's the man for you. Daniel is your man. And I was like, so, okay, so anybody meet somebody named Daniel, I'm like, look at him. I mean, so then she goes on, and she's like, and you have a curse on you through your father's side of the family. This is also true. When my father died, July 8th, 1997, my father had 12 brothers and sisters. One of my uncles took me aside after he died, and he's like, I can't believe it. Your father died exactly the way your grandmother and your great-grandfather said he would die. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, when your father was in high school, your great-grandfather asked him to do something, and your father didn't move fast enough to do it. And your great-grandfather, my great-grandfather was built like a mailbox. He was like one of these, like, he wasn't tall, but he was like basically a square with legs. He was just thick. Everything, it's like his hands were like that, and, you know, and so when he would punch somebody, it would just sound off. So he punched my father in the back and knocked my father down and cursed him. You're going to die like a dog, you smart aleck, you this, that, and the other, and said all of that to him. And my father believed it all of his life. So because he believed it, my father was an overachiever for the rest of his life to try to, you know, nullify the curse. But always in the back of his mind, he believed it, and he talked to his brothers about it. So this woman, who I don't know, this psychic, has now said, Richard's not the man that I'm supposed to be seeing, and who I was seeing, and my father had a curse on him, which I knew. Immediately, I go to my ATM, get out $100, and ask her to tell me more. Wow. Yeah. So she's like, come come back to my apartment. So I follow her to her apartment on the Upper West Side. It's on Columbus and in the 80s somewhere, right beside this place called EJ's Luncheonette. And we go upstairs, we go into her apartment that is like Spartan lifestyle. I think a couch, a table, you know, nothing else. But the apartment was filled with women. And what's strange is that all of the women basically looked like me.
Wow.
But all nationalities. There were white women, Asian women, Latino women, black women, but all of us had the basic, we were all like 5'9", 5'8", all long hair, all same bone structure, you know, toothy, you know, goofy toothy kind of look, you know. And when I came in, all of the women were like, hey, welcome, hey, you know, hugging me and everything, and, you know, they called me sister and everything like that. And so she's like, come sit with me. So I sit on her couch, the only one, and she's like, these are your sisters. These are your sisters. From now on, I want you to call me Mama. I am Mama, okay? And so I just botched, I had just botched a big audition. Wrong man in my life. My father was cursed. Of course I felt like an outcast, and I welcomed this. So she tells me some more things about Richard, which later on turned out to be true. And she told me more about the curse and how to break it. And so she told me to come back later on with more money. So I leave. And when I go home, I decide to walk home, and as I'm walking, I was like, you know what? I'm the only person who can break a curse off of me. And I don't want to start this whole thing with having to give money to somebody because, you know, I'm going to be like planting an egg, planting seven nickels, you know, peeing a cup, you know, cover up your mirrors, don't walk backwards, you know, wear this color. I was not going to live like that. So I just, you know, basically went home and prayed and talked to a friend, because also it made this a bad day, a horrible day, that this was also the exact same day that the tapes were released of the man who got his head cut off over in Iraq. Wow. And so the friend that I called to cheer me up, as soon as he heard my voice, he's like, I am so glad you called me. He's like, I was just meditating that for light to come into my life, and as soon as I finished that thought, you called me. And I was like, what happened? He's like, I watched the tape of the man getting his head being decapitated. I found it online and I watched the whole thing. I'm like, why would you watch something like that? He's like, I had to. And he's like, I've opened up all the windows, I've been burning incense, I've been meditating, and he's like, I'm messed up. So we talked for about 6 hours, just trying to talk each other down because both of us were very, very upset. So skip cue to probably 4 or 5 months ahead. I'm visiting my family on the Upper West Side. They live on West End Avenue. And I'm sitting in the kitchen with the TV on, and the news comes on, and you know how they do those teasers about what they're about to talk about. So the teaser comes on, big bust on the Upper West Side, for there a big crime ring on the Upper West Side, stay tuned for more. So I'm like, wow, right here in this neighborhood, I mean, what kind of crime ring is in here? I was like, last thing I heard, you know, Carol Channing lives in this building. So it comes back on, and they start the story, and then they shoot outside of EJ's Luncheonette, the same building where this woman, Mama, lives. And they go in, and they're bringing out Mama in handcuffs. Turns out she's a madam, and she was running the biggest prostitution ring out of her apartment on the Upper West Side. So I was just like, she was grooming me to be a prostitute.
Wow.
A call girl. I could have been a 7 Diamond. I could have been with Spitzer.
No, you couldn't.
Yeah.
You